Uh, I'm having an experience of 10 years on middleware servers, and also I have an experience in Java JUnit deployment development. Um, I have worked on various middleware servers like WebLogic, WebSphere, JBoss, SOA, and many others like Apache, Forms and Reports, Tomcat. So these are all the middleware servers where I have worked on different operating system layers like Linux, Unix, AIX, and Windows platforms. Uh, Today I am going to give you demo on SOA, which is service-oriented architecture, and also I'll show you a quick installation of the SOA infrastructure. So when we really talk about SOA is nothing but it's a kind of a framework, which is a kind of a plug and play where you can deploy any kind of a composite application. So when you talk about a composite application is nothing but it's a different collection of the interfaces like you can have any kind of the business model which you want to develop, and that particular business model you can use it with various aspects as per the requirements that your business needs. So that is what exactly is your SOA. So when we talk what actually Oracle SOA suite is, Oracle Fusion Middleware, it is a collection of standards-based software products that spans a range of the tools and the services from J2E and developer tools to integration services, business intelligence, collaboration, and content management. So Oracle Fusion Middleware offers complete support for development, deployment, and management. So you can very well use your Fusion Middleware component, where you can very well develop it. You can do the deployment, and also, you being a SOA administrator, you can say, so where you can manage those particular SOA components. Oracle SOA Suite is an essential middleware layer of the Oracle Fusion middleware. It provides a complete set of services, infrastructure components, where you can do designing, deploying, and manage those particular composite applications. Oracle SOA Suite also enables services to be created, managed, and orchestrated into composite application and business process. Composites enable you to easily assemble multiple technology component in one SOA composite application. So Oracle SOA Suite plugins into a heterogeneous IT infrastructure and enables enterprise to incrementally adopt SOA. So in one term, if I have to really give you an example, the use of the SOA is something like this, where, for example, you are having a car manufacturing company and you have different variants of your particular brand. For example, you are using a sedan car, you might be using a hatchback car. So you may be using manufacturing SUVs. So in any of these kind of the cars, we always take some of the basic models which we use it in each and every part of the car, and rest of the thing is then whatever the new feature we want to introduce in that, we just introduce that. So it's something like we have a basic layer, and that particular basic layer, if you want to add any of the new components, you can very well add any kind of the components, whatever you want as per your business requirement. So that is what exactly is your Oracle SOA Suite. So in our previous slide, we were basically talking about, we basically deploy, we basically develop, we basically deploy, and we basically manage all our composite applications. So to understand what actually a composite application is, a composite application is a software program that is built out of a number of existing software functions. Though it is possible to construct a composite application from virtually any type of the coded object, the current definition typically implies that use of enterprise service are equal in web server sources such as feeds or the widgets. So by drawing the software components that have already been developed and tested, the composite applications can put together quickly and inexpensively. This allows companies to stay ahead of their competitors by introducing new business model and process more quickly while simultaneously reducing the expenses. So it is something like that, a particular company, they got some requirement where they may have to provide some of the product uh, to their particular other component competitors. So they need to provide more features to the component what they have basically developed. So in such kind of the thing, if you want to quickly deploy, if you want to quickly develop a particular code instead of redeveloping each and everything from the basic scratch, so you can have anything already. You can have your existing infrastructure. On that particular infrastructure, add as many components as you want based on your particular business requirements. So that is what exactly is your composite application. So now we are basically, I'm going to basically explain you on the SOA architecture. So when you really talk about the SOA architecture, so your SOA architecture basically is hosted on your WebLogic layer. So you need to make sure that you are having WebLogic server installed on your particular SOA infrastructure component to get your SOA infrastructure component setup being done. So your WebLogic server, it basically works as a base layer, and on the top of the WebLogic server we usually install our SOA infrastructure. Now our SOA infrastructure is composed of many components. So we have a component called as a mediator component, we have a BEPL component, we have adapters, we have UMS, we have business rule, we have OSB, we have WebLogic Server Policy Manager, we have MDS, we have Human Task, we have BAM, we have CEP, we have JDeveloper, where a particular developer, if he wants to develop any kind of the application or the code, or he wants to develop any kind of the composite application, whatever is required as per the business requirement, he can very well develop those particular composite applications, and he can install those particular composite applications on the particular SOA infrastructure. So that is how your SOA architecture is being built up. So now I'm going to show you quickly on the installation procedure of your SOA. So let's move ahead with it. So whenever you are planning to start installing a particular SOA infrastructure, so you need to make sure that you are having the following things at your in the requirement. So whenever we need to install a particular SOA, we need to make sure that we have Oracle database installed with you. Then we need to make sure that we have installed WebLogic server. So it can be anything like you can install 11G version, you can install 12C version, whatever it is based on your project requirement. And then you need to make sure that you are having your RCU database also installed. So this RCU database, it is nothing but the schemas that we create, which we integrate with our Oracle database table. And also after creating the RCU database, you need to make sure that after that you'll be installing a SOA suite. So this SOA suite, we will be integrating it with our WebLogic server. So usually, the SOA, it is not only meant for the Oracle, you can very well use it even for one of the IBM product, that is nothing but your WebSphere. So if you want to integrate either with a WebLogic or with a WebSphere, you can very well integrate it at this particular point of time with your particular SOA based application. And finally, after installing the SOA, finally you may need to make sure that you are running your WebLogic domain, where you are going to define where you are going to basically define the different components of the SOA that you want to integrate it with along with your particular WebLogic server. Now I'm going to show you the installation of the database part, which you need to implement as a first step of while it is very much required for you to install the as a part of your SOA. Usually, this database part can be taken care by the uh, database team. They may be installing you the complete database and everything. So they may install on Oracle 11G, they may install on Oracle 12 version, or probably they may also install a Oracle XE database, which is a lightweight database probably for your based on the kind of the requirement that you have in your particular project. So now I'm going to show you how to basically install a particular database. So I have installed this Oracle XE database. So now you can see here. So I'm basically running this setup method. So this setup basically helps us in installing the database part. So you can see here. So your Oracle database 11G version is setup has started. So I'm going to start the installation of it. Accept the license agreement. So it's basically asking you by default your database gets created under this particular drive, the default drive that is under C, and it creates a Oracle XE folder at this particular location. In future, if you want to change your path, like for example, you don't want to install on the C drive, you want to install on the D drive, you can very well do that particular part of your work. So it's based again, like which path you want to install your particular database. So we'll go with the next. It is basically asking you the password. So you basically have to need to define here the username and the password. So it's like a super admin user. So sys, which we sys and the system. These are the two super user names which we use it as a part of a database creation, which is a very mandatory step, because whenever your database gets started, it basically gets started with this particular username and the password what you're going to provide. So let the username with the system, and let the password be of test. Let the password be db test and db test. We'll confirm it. We'll go with the next. Now we are going to show you the installation of the database. And one more thing, before installing the database, you need to make sure regarding the disk space utilization. Your SOA suite, your complete SOA suite installation, it basically takes around 5 GB of your disk space, and apart from that, your database itself roughly takes about more 5 GB of your disk space. So you need to make sure that you are having a complete uh, 5 GB of the disk space that is currently existing. So you need to make sure that you have that much of overall 10 GB of the space available in your disk. So now we have completed the installation of the database. So our database is currently completely installed. So now after installing the database, we need to make sure that we are setting up a process parameter because it is very much required for you. Otherwise, what will happen is that if you are not setting up the process parameter greater than or equal to 300, there are the chances that your database may not be able to execute as many threads as possible as it is required, basically for your SOA suite component to interact with. So now I'm going to show you basically how to set up a particular process that is greater than or equal to 300. So we are going to, going to the startup where I'm going to open a command line. From the command line, I'm going to run this SQL command. So from the SQL command, so in the SQL command, if I directly execute this particular command like show parameter session, so I have to see whether it will be getting executed or not. So I'll directly give this. So parameter session. So I get a particular message that it's not connected. It's not connected. So now I need to connect to that particular database. For connecting to a particular database, we need to execute connect, and then we have to give the following command like connect and then sys. We are, because basically this is nothing but the username, and then we have to basically give as test db. So that is the password that I have for the database, and the type of the database is the XE database, which I am going to connect as a sys dba. That is nothing but I'm going to connect as an administrator. So now you can see here, like I got connected to that database. So you can see here the message saying like connected. So now what I am going to do is, now I'm going to see the number of the parameter sessions that are currently set up. So what I see is that the number of the sessions currently set is 172, and so I am going to change that particular connection details. So for setting up those particular connection details, so we basically have to execute this particular command. So we'll be using the command like alter system reset session scope and spfile.sid, and then we'll be altering the process to 300 for the scope of our file. So now I'm going to execute the same command over here. So alter system reset sessions scope is equal to spfile sid is equal to, and then we have altered this. So this got altered, and next we are going to show here alter system set processes is equal to 300, and the scope it will be equal to sp file. So you can see here the changes got altered, but the changes will not be reflecting until unless we restart the database. So now what I am going to do is I'm going to execute shutdown immediate immediate. So just shut down immediate. So you can see over here that the database is getting shutting down. So now the database is shut down. So now I have to start my particular database. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going back over here, because I can start it from the either from the command line or from the start bar. So I'm just going to start this database over here. So you can see here the database is getting started. It will be getting started in a couple of minutes. So the database is now connected. So because the cursor has come out, and now we'll execute the command again of connect sys test db as sysdba. So I have basically now connected back, and when I execute show parameter session, so you can see here the number of the sessions got increased from 472. So you can very well see here, like earlier it was 172. So after I added 300 processes, now it is showing the parameter value as a 472. So this is what you need to make sure that you have done this particular part as a part of the database uh, after the installation of your particular database. Now, once you have installed the database, the next thing what you need to do is you need to make sure that you need to install the specific WebLogic server. So for installing the specific WebLogic server, you can very well go to the particular Oracle site. So first you need to make sure that you have the related component available for you, where you can very well download that particular logic server and the related SOA suite components. So even if you select this Oracle SOA suite, so from here you will be coming to know what are the different the versions and the products that are currently available for you. Before logging into the Oracle site, you need to make sure that you are a registered user. So if you are a registered user, so then only you will be able to install your so-called SOA suite along with your particular WebLogic server. So these are the following components. These are the recommended settings that are basically required for you to install your SOA suite based application. So you need to install your SOA suite, and apart from installing the SOA suite, you need to install your WebLogic server and then the database, and then you need to download your so-called RCU database. So all these things you need to make sure that you are downloading. So now I'm basically going to show you the WebLogic server which we are going to download. So what you can very well do is, like, you can very well go to the downloads, go to the Oracle Fusion middleware. So in the Fusion middleware, now what you are going to do is you are going to select the kind of the version, the WebLogic server that you would like to download. So you have to go to this WebLogic server downloads, and once you go to the WebLogic server download, so from here you can very well based on the kind of the version do you want to install, so you can very well go ahead and install the WebLogic server. So while downloading the WebLogic server, you need to make sure what is actually is your requirement. So generally we have a different types of the packages that are available to be downloaded for your WebLogic server. One, we get Oracle WebLogic server plus Coherence plus OEP package. Another one which we get is the Oracle WebLogic server for the Coherence. So Oracle WebLogic server plus Coherence and the OEP package, it is only meant for the SOA developers who wants to even develop the code. So OEP package is nothing but where they get a additional component apart from your WebLogic server, that is your JDeveloper tool. By using this JDeveloper tool, they can very well install this particular OEP package. If you are a pure WebLogic administrator, you are going to be a purely SOA administrator, and that particular kind of the scenario, it's always feasible and it's always better that you can install Oracle WebLogic server plus Coherence package. So you don't have to really go with the OEP package. So size wise, it basically varies. So like if you're using a Linux environment or a Windows environment or a 64-bit of your size, so based on that you will be installing your respective files. So currently already we have that specific file already being installed, so we'll install the WebLogic server now. So once we go to the WebLogic server, so let's go back to that. So I'm going to install WebLogic based on the kind of the version and kind of the bit size that you are going to use. So this is how you can install your WebLogic server. So we'll go with the next. It is basically asking, do we want to use any of the existing middleware home or a new middleware home? So I already have a Oracle folder over here where already I have installed 12C version of the WebLogic. So now what I'm going to change is I'm going to create a new middleware directory, but it will be of 11G. So that is what the path I'm going to change. So I'm going with the next. So do you want to receive any kind of the security updates? We really don't enable this particular option. The reason is that whenever we try to install any of the WebLogic or whenever we try to register this, there will be always be a security threat. So on real-time scenarios also on the servers, we never install any of the we never register to any of the security updates. So currently we are going with a new. So how do you want to go? Do you want to go with a typical or a custom? So when I say typical comes with your WebLogic server as well as Oracle Coherence. So it's up to you. Like Oracle Coherence is nothing but it's an added feature that you are getting along with your WebLogic server, where if you want to add any kind of the new memory, you want to add a extra memory to that of the already to the existing allocated memory to your WebLogic server, you can go ahead with the Oracle Coherence, or else you can go with the customized. So usually typical is nothing but it's a default component. It will take all the default features and the default components that are required to be installed along with your WebLogic server. So we'll be going with a custom pattern. So we'll go with the next. So these are all the different types of the components which we are going to install for your WebLogic server. So here you can see here, like we have all the different types of the components that are currently available. Like we have a core application server, we have an admin console, we have a configuration wizard. So every component has their own significance. Core application server, it is nothing but which is very much required for your WebLogic server to need to be installed, where you are going to install your SOA also, and your admin console, that is very much required because tomorrow in future if you want to stop and start your SOA servers, so you can start it via using this particular admin console, and then you have a configuration wizard. So from this particular configuration wizard, in future if you wanted to upgrade your existing WebLogic server and also to your particular SOA composite, you want to do any kind of the upgradation features, so you can very well go ahead with this particular configuration wizard or an upgrade framework. And also, for example, like today you have not included one of the component that is required for your SOA. For example, one of the component like BPM is one of the component of the SOA, and you have not installed that particular component because today it is not part of your requirement, and tomorrow in future you really want to go ahead with that particular component installation. So you can very well go ahead with this particular configuration wizard, and you can very well upgrade your WebLogic domain with that particular extra SOA component that you wanted to include. Web 2.0 HTTP PubSub server, it is nothing but basically a mechanism where you can publish and you can subscribe whatever the information that is coming via over HTTP. So your messages, whatever it is coming in a asynchronous way via your HTTP, so you can very well register to over here. So we have a WebLogic SES, so it's basically a Spring container. So if any of the developers, if they want to integrate any kind of the Spring components in any kind of the Java J2E based application. So in such kind of the scenarios, you can very well integrate your WebLogic SCA based application, JDBC drivers. So this is nothing but where you can connect to any of the data sources, because again, when you talk about the SOA, in the SOA it is very much required that we get connected to the database. So whatever the Oracle XE database which just now I have installed it, so your SOA using that particular data source, like you are using your JDBC drivers, it will be trying to connect to your particular SOA infrastructure. Sorry, to your XE database. And then you have a third-party JDBC drivers. So for example, like if you are going to integrate it with any kind of the third-party vendors who have developed their own JDBC drivers, and if you want to integrate with their particular database, so you can very well go ahead with that particular third-party JDBC drivers. And then you have a WebLogic server clients. So these client jars are very much required to connect to any of your remote client to your particular WebLogic server. So it includes RMI clients, WSC clients, JMS clients. Again, here when we are really talking about the JMS clients, basically it is something like this. Usually whenever we do any communication via using our SOA, we require a JMS to be integrated when we are installing a SOA suite component. So it is very much required. And then we have a web server plugin. So if you want to use it for any kind of the web servers, that is they are the load balancers for your HTTP. So if you want to keep them as a front end to your particular WebLogic server, so whenever any kind of request that basically comes, it used to come from a web server, and then if it has to come to your application server, to your WebLogic server, and then that request has to internally, it has to go to your any of your SOA suite component. So if that request will be coming via your HTTP, so those plugins, those supported plugins will also be installed along with your particular WebLogic server. And then you have a UDDI and XQuery support. So it's basically it's a UDDI component. So this is an additional component where WebLogic can implement all XQuery standards. And then we have a evaluation database. So it runs all your code examples like any kind of a functional database, or if you want to include any kind of a DRY database along with the server examples, you can very well go ahead with that particular kind of the database component. And your Oracle coherence provide it's a basically distributed in memory data management and a caching services. So it is very much helpful in peer-to-peer clustering protocol. So this is very much required in if we are going for our WebLogic server to be more highly available, and also we want to add any kind of extra memory to our existing WebLogic server, to the memory that currently it is running with, the heap memory that it is currently running with. So we need to make sure that if the business demands, if there is a requirement, so we can go with this particular coherence also. So once you have installed this, so we'll go with the next. So you can use any kind of the JDK, like you can use Sun JDK, or even you can use Oracle JRocket. So these are the two types of the Javas, the JDKs that are currently available, which Oracle provides you. One thing I can say that there is a difference between Sun JDK and JRocket. So JRocket is always considered to be a better performer than that of the Sun JDK. The reason is that JRocket is very much been optimized. So JRocket, it always whatever during the boot up or the runtime, whatever the methods or the functions, whatever it gets called, so your JRocket, for the first time it compiles it, and for the second time for the first time whenever it is compiling, it also stores the information in the cache. So it doesn't really go for the compilation time again. So in that way, the performance wise, your JRocket gives a better performance as compared to that of the Sun SDK, because your Sun SDK, it do the compilation each and every time whenever there is any kind of the request to your particular Java class files. So that is the reason why your JRocket is somewhat better than that of the Sun JDK. But yes, equivalently, any of the thing, whatever you want to use for your particular WebLogic server, you can very well go ahead according to your requirements. So even if you want, you can install both the JDKs, and based on the whenever you are going to create any kind of the domain, you can choose whether you want to go with Sun SDK or do you want to go with any kind of the JRocket. So we'll go with it. So and this is the product installation directory. So all your WebLogic components, and in future when we will be installing, and all your SOA components, all these things will be created over here under this WLS server 10.3. So your entire products, your entire templates, that is very much required for your WebLogic, and to get integrated along with your SOA, all these things we can place it over here. So once we have done this, so this is something like a node manager. So node manager is nothing but which basically helps you in monitoring your particular manager service, that is nothing but your application service that we create as a part of the domain. So we'll discuss on this later on, but currently, like, this is the thing which currently we don't want to add our node manager as a part of the Windows service. So we'll go with the next. So if you want to add it as a part of the start menu folder, so under the start menu, if you want to add it, you can very well add it. So we'll go with the next, and finally, so it's going to be 10431.1 MB that is going to be installed for this particular WebLogic server. Once we have done with the installation, so your WebLogic server gets installed. So this is how these are the different phases of installing your particular SOA component as I mentioned over here. So that is all what I have for the demo today. It was really nice speaking to you, and I will really say that thanks for all the support to going through this particular PPT. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.